This has the potential to be one of the dumbest videos that I ever decided to film. Hello, welcome back to Seldomly Often. I'm Daniel. Today we're talking fragrances, and this is fragrance speed dating with Axe. In this video format, I usually plow through my mountain of samples and decants to really discover the language of perfumery, to learn about new brands, new genres, and even new specific fragrances. Today, though, will be very different. I'm taking myself back to my childhood. I started out with Axe, as many of us did. I'm very curious of where this brand stands today. As I said in my intro, this might be one of the dumbest videos I ever decided to film. Actually, credit where credit is due. A subscriber of mine, a commenter of mine, pitched me the idea of doing a speed dating with Axe. I actually thought it was brilliant and ironic, and maybe I could make some sort of sense out of it. I think that the commenter originally intended this as an idea for an April Fool's video. That would have been absolutely amazing. It would have been perfect. But given the fact that we're in the middle of June, today I'm going to try to take this very ironic concept, this very fun speed dating episode, and try to inject some seriousness into it. How will I do this? I'm not necessarily sure. I think I'm going to just go into it and see where this goes. Funnily enough, I think that a lot of the public, which today is interested in these exclusive, artisanal, luxurious brands like Arigiadore, Ensarut, Bortnikov, maybe even stuff that is a little bit more mainstream like Amouage, Frederic Malle, insert whatever brand name you want, we all started out with Axe. At least people probably from my generation. I started out with this very fragrance, Axe Africa. This is probably the first fragrance I ever remember putting on. This was basically my signature scent when I was 8, 9, 10, 11 years old. This was the thing I was gravitating towards every freaking day. In today's age, when reading stuff on Reddit, when watching YouTube videos, I feel that the brand of Axe is basically considered the very bottom of the barrel when it comes to perfume quality and scent complexity. I'm not surprised given how cheap these are, but we'll get to that in a sec. But overall, the brand is pretty much seen almost as an insult. You see someone or you smell someone wearing a ton of cologne, a very synthetic, screechy cologne, and you're immediately pointing at Axe. You're immediately symbolizing Axe as the culprit. Very interesting. Again, when I was a kid, I remember Axe being this bombastic brand full of bold advertisement. If you wanted to smell like a guy, if you wanted to smell like a man, Axe was the thing that you needed to put on. And hilariously enough, I kind of think that this whole compliment thing, this whole idea that fragrances will get you girls and potentially even get you laid, has been sparked by Axe. I distinctly remember these ads of these young kids wearing Axe and basically being chased down by girls in the dozens. Crazy stuff. Now that I see it as an adult, now that I remember it in the lens of an adult, it's completely mind-blowing. And I totally feel, well, empathy towards the younger audience. I'm not really sure if the Axe ads are still like that. I'll probably have to do some research on YouTube or something like that, but I'm very curious. Axe has definitely sparked a phenomenon. And I bet that a lot of you guys and girls still watching this video, especially knowing the type of fragrances that I like, especially knowing the type of products that I feature on this channel, are thinking, what the hell are you doing with Axe? Well, I'm not really sure. When I first got that comment suggesting a speed dating with Axe, I thought it was absolutely brilliant, but I just kind of shelved the idea. But the other day, I was walking through the supermarket and something caught my eye on the shelf. It was a can of Axe. Specifically, it was this can of Axe, Black Vanilla. And I looked at it and I thought, that's interesting. I never thought that Axe had this Black Vanilla thing. And I just picked it up and I looked at it. Then I noticed that the supermarket was having a sale on Axe. It was basically, if you get 5 or more, you get like a 30% discount. And at that moment, I had that spark. I remembered that comment and I was like, the hell with it. I'm going to buy them all. So today, I'm going to be featuring all of the fragrances that I could find at the supermarket at the time. Again, I'm living in Switzerland. Maybe if you're in the US, there's a lot more Axe versions out there. But I got 7. Today, we're going to be featuring, as I mentioned before, Black Vanilla. Then we're going to be featuring Black, which is probably one of the OGs. Then we're going to be featuring Africa, which is definitely one of the OGs. As I said before, this was pretty much my signature scent, ages 8 to 12. Really cool. I can't wait to smell this again. Then we're going to be featuring Cherry Fizz. Sounds interesting. Peach Infusion. Purple Patchouli. Again, the Black Vanilla that I talked about before. And Aqua Bergamot. This is so funny to me. And honestly, I feel that I kind of wasted money. I feel that I will not be liking these whatsoever, but I felt that it was just such a novel idea, I just couldn't pass it up. And by the way, speaking money, today, Axe fragrances, a can of Axe runs for officially, I think $6 or something like that. It's about 5 Swiss francs, and I got them for maybe 3.2 Swiss francs or something like that. Very, very cheap. This is basically deodorant. It's actually classified as premium deodorant body spray. So I'm not really sure. I'm definitely not expecting crazy longevity, that's for sure. Today, I'm gonna be mostly looking at the smells. I want to know what Axe is doing considering the boom in the fragrance world. But before I start getting my nose on these ridiculous body sprays, let me just remind you how this format works. I usually spray my fragrances only off strip here, and I talk about the very first opening, giving my very first impressions. Now, in the case of Axe, I'm not expecting longevity, so the opening is probably the lasting impression, so this is perfect. After sampling the scent initially and talking about the opening, I'll be assigning a score of 1 to 10 to each fragrance. These scores are definitely not absolute. Please do not compare these scores across videos. These are mainly used as a tool to help me understand which is the fragrance that I like the most. At the end of the video, I'll be spraying that fragrance, the one that I like the most, on skin to see if there's a little bit of a difference in development. Again, we're talking Axe, so very, very low expectations here. The whole speed dating concept is meant to replicate the idea of walking into a shop and smelling a brand for the first time. When you do this, you really don't have much time to really put stuff on skin, to really wait for it to develop. You're basically handed strips and you're prompted to make decision of purchase. This is pretty much the concept of speed dating. I want to keep my first impressions very dry, very blunt, very direct, very speed dating style. All right, let's get right into this. Let's start with Axe Black. I feel that this is the perfect starting point, as this might be the default bro scent. Black is the color of manliness. When you buy one of those trees to perfume your car, the black one is always the most masculine, the most manly. Black is seen as dark, rich, edgy, powerful. Obviously, I'm being very ironic here. I'm basically rolling my eyes, but in all truth, I'm actually pretty interested in knowing what this is gonna be smelling like. I'm expecting maybe like a blue fragrance, something like blue fresh out of the shower. By the way, these cans are 150 mLs. I'm not necessarily sure if it's 150 ml of juice in here. It doesn't weigh like 150 mLs, but again, these cans are tin. They're very, very light, so who knows? Interestingly enough, I remember that Axe cans, they had like a cap that you would pull off. These now have evolved. You have to like twist, and apparently the atomizer shows up. Yeah, it pops up as you twist a can. Well, enough said. Let's give it a go. Axe Black. Let's give it a half a second spray, 1 second spray. I don't know. Oh my God, way too much. Sprayers are good though. It's just so funny, my God. I'm gonna definitely need to aerate this area after a couple fragrances because, I don't know, I just have this impression. All right, Axe Black. It smells fresh, it smells clean. There's very little sweetness in here. I can't discern any specific ingredient. It does definitely remind me of the blue fragrances. It smells like a blue shower gel or something like that. It also has a little bit of this synthetic ambroxany smell. It's very metallic, and again, synthetic might be a theme here. I'm not surprised if that is the case, but it does smell very dry. It smells like some sort of aroma chemical. The more I'm smelling this, and the more I'm starting to maybe imagine a little bit of a green note. Maybe there's a tiny bit of pine. Maybe the pininess is kind of hinting at the masculine sense from the past, the masculine trends. Maybe there's also a tiny bit of citrus in here. But it's mostly this, this metallic, clean, zingy, ringy sort of feeling. Again, it smells absolutely synthetic, 100%. It's not bad. It's actually way better than I was expecting. To be completely honest, it's not too far off from other fragrances that I've smelled in the airport. As crazy as it sounds, I feel that if you would hand this strip to someone without saying that it's Axe, you'd probably get a fairly positive response. This kind of smells like, dare I say it, a little bit of the Ormond Jane DNA. It has that very airy, fresh, synthetic, very metallic, and kind of masculine vibe to it. Very, very interesting. It's not too dissimilar of what I was expecting. This is pretty much what I was expecting. But black, it's not necessarily super black. It's more just masculine. It's blue, it's fresh, it's metallic, it's citrusy. It has a little bit of pininess to it or some sort of greenery going on. There's very little wood. And I'm talking wood in the sense of, well, you know how wood is added to these scents, the shower gels for men. Those smell kind of like that fake wood. This one here does not have that. It doesn't smell sweet whatsoever or resinous. It's very, very dry. It's, again, generic, distinctly masculine, stereotypically masculine. It's a fun scent. I'll probably end up using this as a deodorant, no problems. I think it's a pretty good start. I would give this probably something like a 6.5 out of 10. I would never buy a fragrance with this scent profile, but I can totally see people gravitating towards something that smells kind of like this. Maybe the Azzurro Chrome or something like that. Very, very generic. Again, it doesn't smell expensive whatsoever. It's not expensive. Cool though, fun. All right, for the second fragrance, let's go to the black vanilla that caught my eye. This one here is actually black vanilla, and then as a subtitle, you have plus orange and sandalwood. So vanilla, orange, sandalwood, interesting. I feel that this is a different line. The black one feels like the classic line, and this one here is the Fine Fragrance Collection line. Interesting. This might be a little bit higher tier. I'm not sure if it's more expensive or not. I didn't really look at the prices. Once they were sub $3, I was like, the hell with it, I'll just get it. Once again, the twist to open cap. Let's give it a 1 second spray. Maybe that was like half a second, but it's plenty. Very different from the black. It's not that I like it, but it's, I don't know, it makes me smile. This smells like a car scent. It smells like one of those car diffusers. It smells incredibly cheap, especially because vanilla can smell extremely expensive if done right. This is not that. It smells like a candle. It smells like a car scent. It smells insanely thin. There's a definite orangeness in there, which is cutting through this vanilla, giving it a little bit of brightness, but it's so faint. The sandalwood is the sandalwood is completely undetectable in here. I don't know why, it just makes me smile. It brings me back. I feel that I've smelled so much stuff like this. This smells extremely cheap. Sorry, I just can't help myself. This smells like the most cheap rendition of vanilla ever. It has zero depth, it has zero complexity. It has this very generic sweetness with a tiny bit of vanilla touch. This orange here is actually becoming more detectable. It's fizzy in a way, but it still smells incredibly artificial. The orange has this rindy component to it. It doesn't smell like juice. It doesn't smell natural at all. It smells like an orange peel that has been left sitting on the counter. I get zero sandalwood whatsoever. I feel that sandalwood is one of the more difficult things to replicate smell-wise, even with the highest quality synthetics. I feel that the difference between even high quality synthetics and the real thing is basically night and day. This has zero sandalwood whatsoever. If anything, and I have to really squint in here, if anything, there's a little bit of just generic woodiness in the base. Interestingly enough, the vanilla has almost immediately evaporated, and I'm left with this orangey sweetness, again, super synthetic, super artificial, with this slight woody base. It is what it is. I mean, this is not good. It's not good. It's very apparently synthetic. I would give this probably like a 5 out of 10. I like black more because black is more iconic. It's more the bro smell. I have a degree of respect towards that. This is just, I don't know. It definitely leans a little bit more feminine. It definitely leans a little bit more youthful. Black, paradoxically, is the kind of scent that a kid would wear if a kid wants to be a guy. This is more like teen. When you go into your teens, you're maybe a little bit more aware of women. You're trying to tailor a little bit more to their tastes. This is definitely not for me. It's fun. It gave me a giggle. Enough of that, but it's probably like a 5 out of 10. Following up that majestic vanilla and staying on the gourmand train, this one here is Peach Infusion. This one is also from the Fine Fragrances collection, and it's actually Peach Infusion plus Patchouli plus Amber. Let's give it a go. This one has the same opening. Let's give it half a second spray. Maybe a little bit less, but it doesn't really matter. And let's see where this one lands. The peach is definitely very apparent. I feel that it's less annoying than the vanilla. The vanilla just straight up came across as super synthetic. This smells juicy, it smells nice, it smells fresh, it smells very fruity. It smells kind of tropical in a way. There's also probably some sort of a citrus note aiding the feeling of freshness in the peach. Peach is a fruit that can be very thick, can be very heavy, and the citruses in here definitely elevate that scent profile. I have to say that the citruses paired with the peach, they work really well. It comes across as very fruity, very fun, very tropical, very easygoing. This is a lot more my speed while staying on that gourmand vibe. The vanilla was just ridiculously synthetic. This smells way better. I'm not picking up on any of the base notes. Here it said amber and patchouli. There's no trace of that. Maybe the patchouli and the amber show up a little bit later as the citruses peter off. Me talking about these like I'm speaking about fragrances might not necessarily apply to these incredibly simple, non-transitioning scents, but at the same time, I do feel that the laws of physics would still apply, and the citrus molecules would probably be the first to go. This smells remarkably good. I really like the peach rendition. It's actually really fresh. It's really, really fun. I would probably wear this. I mean, not as a fragrance. I'd probably wear this as a deodorant, like as a body spray, just for the kicks, just for the giggles, just for the hell of it. But it smells good. There's zero patchouli, zero amberness. Again, maybe a more commercial patchouli is something completely different from my expectations. I have no idea, but this smells like straight up peach. Maybe the ambery facet in here is giving the peach a little bit more sweetness. It's just maybe filling in the body of the peach, but the patchouli is completely absent. You know what? I think that this is good. I like this. I will definitely be using this. This is definitely the best from the bunch that I smell till now. I would have to give Peach Infusion a solid 7. This is actually decent. I like this a lot. I know. It's absolutely crazy that I'm even saying this, but this is pretty good. I'm intentionally leaving Africa for last as that was my signature scent as a kid. I'm very, very excited to finally get my nose on it again. I haven't given it any sprays, so I'm very curious. But now let's move on to the next one. This one here is Cherry Fizz. Now, I'm actually quite excited for this one too, because cherry, when done in a very synthetic, artificial way, is actually a scent, is actually a note or a type of smell that I really like. I like the artificial Kool-Aid cherry. I like that fake cherry that smells like Jell-O, like cherry candy, cherry popsicles. I like that feeling. This one here is also from the Fine Fragrances collection, and it's actually Cherry Fizz plus red apple plus amber. Very, very interesting. Let's give it the usual half a second spray. Very different from what I was expecting. Unfortunately, the cherry in here is not the cherry that I like. It's not the sour, bright, zingy, mouth-watering cherry. This is much more gourmand, much more fruity. It almost has a slight boozy undertone. And I feel that cherry as a smell is often used as like a liquor base or like to convey the idea of liquor. This is way darker than I was expecting it to be, maybe due to the apple, maybe due to the amber. Again, I'm very much squinting because I have no idea if I'm actually smelling this stuff. This smells just kind of generically sweet. It's much darker than the peach. It feels synthetic. It has that synthetic vibe that I smelled in black. It has that metallicness, which is stereotypically masculine, but at the same time, I would categorize this in a similar way to the vanilla thing because this comes across as try hard, I'm wearing a sweet scent to please the girls kind of thing. It's interesting. I like it more than vanilla, but not by much. Unfortunately, the cherry here is way too dark. It has zero energy. It's bland as hell. Yeah, this smells very boring and very generic. I want to open a parenthesis here. I want to really underline that this video is heavily ironic. It's meant to be fun, lighthearted, just easy to digest, a nice change of pace. I'm not comparing Axe fragrances to the high-end stuff that I usually smell. There's an absolute abyss between the two. Even brands that I tend to criticize, stuff like Argos, stuff like Mind Games, and stuff like Erin Terrence Shoes, smell insanely better than Axe in basically every aspect, and especially in the longevity department. I'm not expecting these to hold up whatsoever. The issue with those brands or other brands that I might be criticizing a little bit is the massive difference in cost with Axe. Axe is a $5 can. You can't justify that. A $500 fragrance that smells poor, that smells a little bit generic and synthetic, is pretty much inexcusable to me. Again, if you like that vibe, if you like that mood, if you like those synthetic smelling compounds, more power to you. It's absolutely fine. I have nothing to say but respect. But objectively, if Axe manages to pull off a scent smelling decent at $5, and a fragrance that smells 500 smells kind of similar, or rather, it doesn't smell much more expensive, we have an issue. We have an issue of inflated luxury. I want to close this parenthesis because I know that some people in the comments will be coming at me because I criticized Mind Games to a degree because of their price and synthetic backbone. Again, completely different things. This is meant to be 100% ironic. But going back to Cherry Fizz, as I said before, unfortunately, this is very much not my thing. Unfortunately, it's not that synthetic cherry that I was hoping to get. It's barely above the vanilla one. The vanilla one smelled so synthetic. It smelled ridiculously, hilariously synthetic. This one here barely edges it out. I would probably give this like a 6 out of 10. Really not for me. It's very, very plain. All right, fragrance number 5, we have Aqua Bergamot. This one here appears to be a much fresher version. It's still in the Fine Fragrances collection. The underline here is Aqua Bergamot plus Sage and Juniper. Very interesting. I'm expecting something quite masculine, quite refreshing, quite zingy. Let's see what we get. Oop, maybe I gave it a little bit too much, but it doesn't really matter. This is actually not that bad. It's pretty decent. It has a lot of synthetics in here. It smells a lot like Axe Black. It has the same metallic edginess or screechiness to it. It's not bad. It smells good. I feel that it smells very, very dry. There's barely any sweetness in here. It's very resembling Axe Black with a lot more citrus. Obviously, there's a lot more lemoniness or bergamot in this case, potentially, given the fact that it's called Aqua Bergamot. There's a lot more greenness in here. I'm not necessarily picking up on sage per se. It's very generically green. What I'm picking up on, there's this marine saltiness underneath, which I'm not necessarily sure if I'm imagining it or not. It might be part of that metallic syntheticness in there, but it does kind of smell vaguely marine-like. I think this is actually pretty decent, and this is mainly due to the fact that marine scents are based on synthetics. You have a lot of stuff like ambroxan, calone, and other molecules, and this kind of picks up the trail where those leave it. It smells cheap, yes, it smells extremely cheap, but the scent itself is not that bad. It's super fresh, very, very airy. It has the metallicness that kind of reminds me a little bit of Ganymede. Actually, the scent profile for this Aqua Bergamot here kind of reminds me of the Gritti Supernova. That one there is a more green version of Ganymede, and it's very particular, has this very particular synthetic metallicness to it. It's not bad at all. You know what? It fits the Axe profile. It fits the Axe syntheticness. It fits what Axe is trying to do. And that's the reason why the vanilla one wasn't working out whatsoever, because that was comical. To make a good vanilla, you have to have decent rendition of vanilla. You have to have a little bit of complexity. And that one there just smelled like a car spray. This leans into the strengths that something like Axe can bring to the table. I think that this is my favorite till now. It's really not bad. This and the peach are definitely the best ones. This one also gets a solid 7. It's pretty decent, surprisingly. Second to last fragrance, we have Purple Patchouli. This one is also from the Fine Fragrance collection. This is actually Purple Patchouli plus citrus and plus oak. So let's see where this goes. Let's open it up, give it a half a second spray. I'm hoping this one is actually patchouli forward. I'm really not getting much patchouli unless the rendition of commercial patchouli is this. This comes across as powdery, a little bit woody. It has this powdery richness to it. I can't explain it. It does indeed smell purple. The citruses in here, I think this was also citrus. Yeah, the citruses in here are very mild. They're definitely more in the back. They're elevating the scent profile, giving a little bit of freshness, but not by much. This is actually not bad. It smells, again, super synthetic. It smells very, very cheap, but the scent profile somehow works. It's definitely the darkest one of the ones that I smelled till now. And it comes across as more base heavy. Again, the base still has this very synthetic metallicness, which is obvious, and at this point it's just part of it's actually potentially part of the spray can thing, because it does kind of remind me of what I said about Ganymede, that it smells like air conditioning, it smells like canned air. All of these have that base to them, and maybe it is due to the fact that they come from a can. I'm really wondering what these would smell like in a more traditional fragrance form with the sprayer and the traditional ethanol. I'm very, very curious about that. Again, this metallicness definitely elevates the scent profile. It's giving it a lot of airiness. It's probably making these a lot more likable, and probably once you spray these on and maybe let them diffuse a little bit, this metallicness, especially in the air, smelled in the air, would not come across as so prominent. I'm about to say something horrible. It's not horrible, it's just a fact in my opinion. Aaron Terrence Hughes uses a similar metallic synthetic compound to really lift up all of his fragrances. All of his fragrances are very light, very likable, very mass appealing, and I feel that something in here is comparable. I'm definitely not saying that he uses the Axe compound or any other similar cheap compound. I'm pretty sure that he uses expensive materials, but it does kind of remind me of that sort of approach. Going back to this Purple Patchouli here, I like it. I actually like it. It works well. Again, it's fairly nondescript, it's fairly generic, but it's a little bit deeper, it's a little bit more fun. It has this edginess that is still very youthful and fun. It does kind of smell purple. I am picturing this imagery here. It's a fun scent. It's incredibly basic, very, very generic, but it's actually pretty well done. I would have to give this like a 7-, like a 6.5, 7-, something like that. Last but not least, we have Axe Africa. As I said before, I'm very sentimental about this scent. This was basically my signature scent in pre-teen years. I wore a ton of this on. Maybe I wore too much of this on. Very, very curious what this smells like. I have zero memory of what it actually smelled like. I literally have no idea. I remember liking it though, and given the fact that I always liked more spicy, woody scents, this one here might be a little bit more along that genre. Well, let's give it a try. Oh, and this one here, by the way, is from the basic line. Axe Africa, there's no description whatsoever. It doesn't say what's in here whatsoever. Let's give it a go. This is indeed a little bit more spicy. This is actually better than I thought it would be. This smells, my God, it's so weird because I'm smelling this with zero expectations, with zero memory of what this smelled like, and I'm kind of getting brought back. It kind of smells a little bit like cardamom. It smells a little bit spicy. It has this sweetness to it, which is super fake, super synthetic, but it's not trying to be anything. It's not like the vanilla thing. It has this, oh my God, it has this woodiness or spiciness. Very interesting. I like this. It's a pleasant surprise. I was expecting something completely different, or rather, I don't know what I was expecting, but I wasn't expecting something to smell like this. I can totally see why this was my favorite as a kid. This is definitely my sort of scent profile. If I were to think about a perfume that I like, even in modern times, even within the very expensive stuff I have, it would probably fall along the lines of this scent profile. It has this sweetness, a little bit of amberiness, maybe a little bit of woodiness, definitely more spicy. It's really not bad. There's a lot of that metallic syntheticness which I was talking about before, and which I mentioned in every fragrance because it's a thing. Well, it's a thing about Axe, maybe it's a thing about the can. Whatever it is, it's a particularity of these scents, but apart from that, it's actually pretty nice. It's very fresh, surprisingly fresh given how spicy it is, and that's why I'm saying cardamom. There's a little bit of greenness in here, maybe a little bit of woodiness. Yeah, again, fairly simple, fairly generic, but it's really not bad. I actually think that this one here and black are probably some of the best ones because they're so unapologetically a deodorant. You know, they're not trying to be anything. The vanilla one was trying to be something which it can't. The peach one surprisingly managed to pull it off. The patchouli one actually fits more in line with something like this. It's not pretending to be anything. It's a very straightforward deodorant. And this one here rides that deodorant feel that black has with a little bit more complexity. Not complexity, with a little bit more roundness. It's smoother and it's sweeter. I like this. This is interesting. I'll definitely be using this as a deodorant. I'm not upset, I have to be honest. My dreams, my rose-colored glasses are not shattered. This is pretty decent. Look, where I am now with my fragrance journey, I would never wear this as a fragrance of the day. I would never wear this as a body spray just because it smells incredibly cheap. It smells youthful. It doesn't smell like my personality whatsoever. But gun to my head, if it was either this or nothing else in my life, I would not be too upset. This would be okay. It's serviceable. This is pretty good. I would have to give this like a 7 out of 10. I think that my favorite is still the peach one. The peach one just surprised me, really. It surprised me because it managed to pull off something which was not expected, especially because it came after the vanilla one. The vanilla one was just so hilariously bad that the peach one really shined in comparison. So this is the one that I'm going to be spraying on my skin. Let's give it a good mist. While we wait for this to dry off, I just want to point out that I'm actually fairly surprised about Axe. Again, you have to consider the price of these. These are very, very cheap. I'm not really sure how much they last. You could probably go through a can maybe in a week or something like that if you're a heavy sprayer. I would not necessarily spray a ton of this on, also because you really can't compensate longevity by spraying more. The fragrance will just not last. It will evaporate no matter how much you spray. By spraying a ton of this on, you'll just be super obnoxious. You'll be incredibly loud in filling rooms just for a very short period of time. I feel that if you want to smell good and you want to last somewhat long, you have to go the fragrance route. You don't have to necessarily go niche fragrances. If you like this sort of scent profile, I bet that you can easily go clones because the clones are probably way better than this. Absolutely, and they're still relatively cheap. Clones range from 15 bucks to 40 bucks, at least a lot of them, and you'll get a lot of wears compared to something like this. So ultimately, Axe, not a great bang for buck. I think it's interesting because it gets kids to smell different things. And to be honest, again, I'm not condemning my past. I've worn a lot of Axe. A lot of kids go through Axe. It's totally fine. It's part of growing up, I feel. And this was very fun. I appreciate the experience. I feel entertained. I don't feel like I wasted money, even if I don't end up wearing these whatsoever. Worst case scenario, I bring them at the free table at my organization where I work. We basically have this free table where you can put stuff on there and everything there is for grabs. So I bet these will disappear fairly quickly. Again, fun times, fun vibes, super chill, very, very laid back. I just wanted to keep it lighthearted and not taken too seriously. But let's go back to the Peach Fizz and let's see how it fares on my skin. Interesting. Very interesting, actually. So on my skin, and I've been talking maybe for 2 minutes or something like that, maybe 1 minute, 2 minutes, the metallicness is almost completely gone. As I mentioned in many videos, my skin tends to darken everything. It really eats up the acidity, so I'm not too surprised that this scent comes across as much darker than it did off strip. Off strip, it had that tropical, zingy, very fresh, very fun vibe. On skin, it's pretty much lost. On the flip side though, I do feel that the patchouli and amber in here are kind of coming through. Well, not the patchouli, because I don't think that the patchouli is well portrayed in here, but it definitely has a little bit more of a body. It definitely has a little bit more of a sweet undertone, and maybe that is the amber, or maybe it's the patchouli in a similar way to the purple patchouli. Maybe this generic woodiness. Interesting. I'm not offended. I'm not offended by the scent. It smells worse though on skin. It smells way worse because it loses all of the fun factor, all of the fun summery vibes that it had in the opening. It's not bad though. It's still similar. I would probably downgrade this from a 7 to like a 6.5 out of 10. I'm not sure I'm going to be wearing this much more than this because it's a little synthetic fruity, but it's interesting that the metallicness has faded off almost immediately off my skin. So maybe it's just me, maybe it's my skin, maybe these are meant to wear like that. Interesting stuff though. Okay, it's time to wrap this up. It's time for my conclusion. I don't really have a recommendation per se. I don't recommend going out and buying Axe because, well, they smell extremely cheap, very synthetic, very metallic. They just don't smell good. But that being said, this experiment has been somewhat enlightening because, first of all, going back to smelling something that I wore in my childhood with the nose that I have now, and by all means, I don't have a great nose. I'm not the master at detecting notes or anything like that, but I do have a lot of experience. I smelled a lot of stuff. I own a lot of stuff. And going back to Axe with that mentality has me looking at the brand with a little bit of a newfound appreciation. At least I can pinpoint what they were trying to do and what they were trying to pursue. I feel that Axe has basically nothing to lose at this point. They're basically seen as, again, the bottom of the barrel, so they can be innovative. And when you're in that stage, you can really throw anything at the wall and make it stick and probably just be very, very experimental. None of these scents were too experimental, but I do feel that they offered a wide repertoire of smells. I want to underline that I bought out all of the scent profiles available. I bought all of the variants of these deodorants, body sprays, or fragrances, or whatever you want to call them. I'm very curious of what's available in the US. You guys have a lot more choice, a lot more flavors. You have so much stuff, even when it comes to stuff like cereal. So I'm very, very curious of what's available. Please leave a comment down below on which is the craziest flavor that is available. I'm super curious. And probably the key takeaway here is that it's actually easy to have fun on a budget. Even if you walk into a department store and just pick up whatever, you can look at it in a very pragmatic view, in a very analytical view, and just try to pick it apart. Just see it as what it is. You don't have to necessarily hype it up. You don't have to expect to wear it that much. And this is true for samples, it's true for Axe, it's true for deodorants, it's true for other smells. It's actually true for any sort of product. Even if I buy a shampoo, from now on, I'll try to pick it apart. I'll try to decipher what it's made of and why it's made like that. There's always a lot to be learned. It's amazing how perfumery is so embedded in our culture. It's so embedded within our life, and we sometimes take it for granted. A lot of the stuff has a specific scent profile. They're engineered with a scent profile. And as dumb as it sounds, even next time I drink my protein drink, I'm gonna pay attention to the smell. There's so much to be learned out there. Really cool stuff. Again, I hope this video was entertaining. It's a lighthearted take on the speed dating formula. I just wanted a change of pace. It's also useful for me. As I said in one of my previous frag talks, every now and then I just need a break. This was very fun, very entertaining. See you in the next one. If you like this type of content, if you like my approach to video, feel free to subscribe. It's always massively appreciated and helps the channel. If you want to interact with me, leave a comment, suggest an opinion, or anything else down below. I always reply and I always keep the conversation open. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your time. It's never taken for granted. Many more fun speed dating episodes to come. I have a ton of houses that I want to showcase. See you in the next one, and cheers.